Welcome back to Major Misconduct. Taylor, Keelback, Foreplay Sports Bar, 360winnipeg.ca. Boy, that's a pretty good combination, I'd say. You're not listening to me. The National Football League has opened training camps. I think the biggest news, the biggest story of all the NFL training camps opening, Chad Ochocinco is no more. He no longer exists. He paid $401, went to Miami court and got his old name back. Chad Johnson. So it cost him about $4,000 to go from Chad Johnson to Chad Ochocinco, but to go back it only cost him $400.
And why? What was the point in either?
Well, I think the first point was that he was at the top of his game and was a big-time superstar and wanted to do something crazier than anybody else had done. And he made this big deal out of being number 85 and being Ochocinco. And then I guess after a few years of being an idiot, he decided that being an idiot isn't the smartest thing in the world to do. He probably got caught in a no-fly zone, on a no-fly list. So Ocho what? What's your name? Where are you from? No, Chad Johnson works better.
So what does this do to Meta World Peace?
Met will change his name back. He'll be Ron Artest.
Now, you talk about crossing a border when you got to sign your name on there. Now, you hand it to some border guard who's never watched a basketball game in his life in some foreign country. You put Meta World Peace, he arrests you immediately.
I would think.
You're not going to believe that?
Well, no. Anyway,
so maybe that's one of the reasons they
Chad Ochocinco is now Chad
How do you get a driver's license? My name is Meta World Peace. They would know him in L.A., I guess.
Yeah, you could probably get one in L.A.
Yeah.
Now I've completely lost my train of thought because
Iceland.
I don't know if there's another decent story in the NFL. The other story, of course, is that Peyton Manning has gone into the Denver training camp, and he is the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. You've got the New York Jets, where both Tim Tebow and Mark Sanchez are the quarterbacks of the New York Jets. After this whole Peyton Manning thing has ended, obviously the Denver Broncos were the winning team in that entire exercise.
Well, yeah, it certainly would appear that way. And, I mean, Peyton Manning, it's going to be interesting to see because he did lose a year. And he's a little long in the tooth now. Is he going to come back to the level that he was at before?
I think so.
He was with Indianapolis, which means he wasn't surrounded by that much talent in the later years.
Oh,
so,
he might have been killed in his last year.
Yeah,
I mean, that offensive line was awful.
It might have
they
saved
were a
his
terrible
life.
team. It not only might have saved his life, but it maybe have given him a new lease on life. You see, a lot of these veteran players. One of the best years Teemu Selanne ever had was when the first half of the year was he was hurt and out of the lineup. He comes back midway through, gets the contract done, everything's fine. He comes back and plays the last 45 games and is tremendous for those 45 games in the playoffs.
Well,
so when you're an older player, maybe missing a year is a good thing.
Yeah, well, he missed that year too of the NHL lockout in 2005,
did, yeah. And came back and
he got his leg fixed up because he's had a history of broken legs and that sort of thing. Even before he came to Winnipeg initially, he'd broken his leg as a teenager, and then every once in a while he gets to take a year off, get these things repaired, and he's back to the way he was.
Yeah, he was tremendous. So maybe the whole Peyton Manning thing is that he'll be in the best shape of his career coming in to a brand new team with a very good offensive line, a very good defense, a team that defensively won all those games. We talked about Tim Tebow, but that defense won a number of those games.
The only thing that bothers me a little bit about it, and we'll see how it affects him. You remember when Albert Pujols first got to the Los Angeles Angels? Mm-hmm. He didn't really look like the Albert Pujols who had been with the St. Louis Cardinals. Nope. It took him a while to adjust. His comfort level was gone. Does that happen to Peyton Manning? And in football, where there's only a 16-game season, does that have an effect?
If it does, it's going to be a problem.
It'll be a big problem.
But again, the one thing he's got going for him in Denver is the defense is good enough to win games until he gets rolling. So maybe if they go 3-2 to start the season, he gets into it 5 games in, and suddenly they could blow it wide open. But the key in Denver is that defense is good enough to win them football games.
Orange Crush.
The Orange Crush defense is back. We'll come back and talk about a couple of things just to wrap up. This is Major Misconduct live on 360winnipeg.ca, and we're at Foreplay Sports Bar.